Hello and welcome to this episode. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and I am so excited to be here with an award-winning professional dedicated to empowering public and private sector employees, businesses, and organizations to thrive in culturally diverse landscapes. She has spent the last decade in public service as an arts and cultural specialist with a strong focus on serving underrepresented communities. And she has navigated governmental systems and created initiatives fostering diversity and inclusion throughout those communities. With a wealth of experience, she teaches professionals how to adapt, navigate, and forge successful relationships and programs within diverse communities. She's the creator of the impactful Unity in Diversity Training Program. Please welcome Marlene Godsey. Hi.
Hi, Cassie. Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
You're welcome. I am so happy to have you here today. I'm very excited to have you on the show. So tell us in your words, that is all amazing. Tell us in your words who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me here. I've really been looking forward to it. So, I'm Marlene, and what I like to call myself a cultural inclusivity trainer. And so, basically, what I do is a type of DEI training, diversity, equity, inclusion training. But I like to refer to it as like I come in once the trainings are done, and I actually teach professionals and their staff, their employees, how to actually make progress in diversity equity work. So I lead professionals through a 6-step journey and teach them how to make actionable progress in cultivating relationships and programs with cultural organizations and communities. Because we get so much training in DEI and so many tools, but no one's really teaching anybody how to use those tools. And so that's where I come in and I lead people through this coached process step 1 to step 6 to actually see real progress.
Amazing. So you created this equity and coaching business. Tell us why you created it.
Oh, absolutely. So I really created it because I saw a need, a huge need. I've spent the last 10 years working in city government as a public servant. And a few years ago, my family and I moved to a smaller community and I continued working in city government. I was an arts and culture specialist. And when I came into this smaller community, I came into an arts and culture program that had basically removed the cultural aspect altogether of the program. And there were no relationships, there were no programs, anything serving any of the cultural communities or organizations in that city. And so I was really taken aback by that. And so I spent 2 years in this community just doing massive amounts of equity work and outreach and creating relationships to try to fix this problem. And I did I asked a lot of questions along the way because I was trying to understand how a city of 100,000 people plus didn't have anything serving any of our cultural communities, any programs, any events, any relationships. And so throughout my questioning, I kept hearing, we don't know how to do the work, or we've tried and we were unsuccessful, or we were uncomfortable. We didn't know what to do. So we ended up leaving that community. And when we left, I told my husband, I said, I don't want to get another job coming in and doing this work and, cleaning up messes, to say the least. I would rather develop a program to teach people how to do the work, because it's something I've witnessed over the last decade, but especially in the last few years, that there's all these professionals that are so skilled and so educated and have all this training in diversity equity, but they don't know what to do with it. And so that's where I decided I'm going to break down what I do and how I do it and create an actionable program to teach them how to do the work. And so that's what I did.
That's amazing. And so what has been the biggest key to growing your business?
Well, the biggest key for me are my relationships. We moved to a new area right when I took on this journey to start this program, to create this program. So I left behind all my connections, all my relationships. So I had to start new. And so relationships for me, building that network is the main thing that has grown my business, and it's grown it really fast. So I'm out volunteering. I'm out networking. I'm reaching out to contacts and people I've worked with over the last decade. And because of that, I've grown my business quickly. I've grown in my new community quickly, just through that community networking component. And I really, truly believe that relationships or community are one of the best ways to grow a business.
Absolutely. I love that. I love hearing that story. For somebody who's like, oh, I don't know, that seems like a lot. How much time do you think you spend networking and building those relationships?
It depends on the week. Most weeks I probably spend 15 hours a week between volunteering, going to any networking events or, that I can find, joining boards and committees to sit on and participate in. I do think that the way things are going right now, it'll probably be more than 15 hours a week in the near future. But right now I'd say it's a good portion of my day. It's probably about 15 hours a week.
Awesome. I love that. And so then what would you say is the key to becoming profitable in your business?
Follow through. I think following through on the promises you make, keeping those promises is important. I actually just started teaching webinars to people, like free webinars, to show people how this process can transform their DEI work. Mm-hmm. And so following through on the promise of what I can do for others, I think is key, because we can create programs, we can, teach people things, we can coach people, but if it doesn't make progress, if we don't follow through on what we are committing to, then I don't really think there's anything that can grow you from that aspect. So I think just being transparent, laying out expectations, really giving people what they can expect from what I have to offer.
Amazing.
And following through on it.
Yeah. And I know that for you, it's also been having a distinctive niche and defining who your target client is. So tell us, what is a distinctive niche?
Yeah,
or niche, however you say it.
Yeah, absolutely. So my distinctive niche is really that actionable plan. I have yet to discover a diversity, equity consultant, trainer, coach, whatever you want to classify it as, that leads professionals through an actionable plan. And that's where I saw the issue was all these tools have been given to people and then they don't know how to use it. So we take these trainings and we're like, I have all these amazing equity tools. I know what microaggressions are. And now I'm going to sit at my desk and I'm going to wait for this community to come up and say, will you partner with us? And it doesn't work like that. So I think having that niche, that I am an actionable coach, an actionable trainer, is really, really different than the rest. And that really put me in that place. And then I really have, brought it down to my target client is public and private professionals. But I work really heavily in event production. I've done events over the last decade, huge, massive events as well. It's been a big thing, big cultural festivals. So in my training, I also added a section just for event professionals. So right now I have several clients who work in events, public and private, because that's kind of my niche. So I work really well with, public servants, private businesses, and, small business owners, nonprofit organizations, but really just, I like to keep it more general, but it's really public, private professionals and their staff and employees.
Amazing. So what's your favorite thing about your business?
That I'm doing something I love. The favorite thing is that I get to make my own schedule. That's one of them, right?
Yes.
That's the cherry on the sundae. But what I love is that I'm doing what I love. I'm very, very passionate about equity work. I think that I don't think I know that people that are not skilled, that do not take into account the importance of equity, will not survive in the changing world that we are in. And I am very, very passionate due to my past, my culture, my family. I'm very passionate in equity work. And so being able to educate others and see those aha moments, and to work with others and then see them go out and make real progress, is the best feeling in the world. Because if I can do anything in this world, right, I'm just going to try to do what I can, my little piece of breaking down racism, discrimination, and making the world a more inclusive space. So I'm going to do my part in that. And I think that's what is the best part, is I feel good at the end of the day. I'm doing something that matters. And I'm not doing something for someone else. I'm doing it for myself and to help others.
Amazing. So, what do you hope to see in the future, 20 years from now or more?
No more hate and racism in the entire world, but let's just start with the US. So, I mean, obviously, I'd love to see a more inclusive world, a more inclusive spaces. I'd love to see cities where city governments and city leaders are making sure that every single person in their community that lives and works and thrives in that community is being included and is safe in those spaces. That's what I would love to see. I would love to see changes happening, and especially in smaller communities, because that's generally where we see the isolation and the exclusion is in these smaller communities. And so I would love to see that change.
That's fantastic. So, what do people do when they are uncomfortable or scared to start this work?
Yeah, that's majority of the people that I work with. They are uncomfortable. They're scared they're going to say the wrong thing. They're going to use the wrong term. They're they're scared to feel uncomfortable or feel embarrassed. And one of the hardest things is telling people the honest truth is you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. There's no magic pill that's going to take that away. I share a lot of stories in my training because I want people to understand that I am a real person. And every time that I have done outreach to any organization, to any culture that I'm not representative of, I have had those same uncomfortable feelings. I have put my foot in my mouth before, but being able to own up to that and apologize and ask for the correct language if you don't know, and doing the research beforehand really alleviates that fear and that discomfort. But at the end of the day, you really have to look at it like we are all beings on this earth and nobody knows why we're here, right? Everybody has their own thoughts or their own beliefs. But at the end of the day, we're all going to go away at one point, and none of us are going to look back and regret that we didn't do that work, or regret. We're all going to look back and we're going to have regret that we didn't do that work because we didn't want to feel uncomfortable. It's just not a good enough excuse. So I really want people to understand it's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's only temporary, and it's not about you. Generally, when you feel uncomfortable or when an organization is hesitant or sometimes starts speaking in their native language and you feel that like, oh, this is so awkward. The thing is, it's not about you. It's a bigger picture than you. You're just there representing that company or that organization or that business, but it's not about you as a person. So getting over that is very important. But there's no magic pill to that. It's really just accepting it and moving forward with it.
I love that. It's such a key piece of advice across the board. I say that all the time in my personal coaching, right? Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so I love that it's such it applies here too. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And that
Yeah.
you're teaching people that. Yeah. What is something else that you would love for people to know?
Well, I think a couple of things. I think one of the things I would love for people to know. So what really, really led me to this work is in my 20s, I grew up in the city and I'm biracial. And so growing up, I never really experienced racism, discrimination. And then in my 20s, I ended up moving to a small community up north. And this was before, smartphones. If you had access to the internet, you were really lucky. So I moved to this area, had no clue where I was going besides the name of the area. And when I got there, right away, I was like, oh my, the color of my skin is a problem all of a sudden. And diversity and differences are not accepted. I could feel it immediately. And unknown to me, I ended up moving to the Aryan Nation headquarters in the United States, and it was a small community. And the creator of the Aryan Nation actually lived, thrived, and worked there still. And so I was there for about a month, and I actually attended an Aryan Nation festival. I attended from across the street in my locked car, but I had to go see what was going on because I couldn't believe it was really happening. In my naive mind, I couldn't believe things like that were still happening in the world. And so I went to this festival and I saw this celebration of hate. And I saw people marching with swastika flags and cheering in solidarity to hate. And that was really the catalyst that set me off. That was like, led me to equity work, made me take that opportunity. And so when I went through college, I really focused on equity and diversity and how I could translate that into community outreach and events. And so what I felt was that when I saw that, I wanted out of that community so bad. There was nothing anyone ever could have said to me to keep me in that community. And so when business owners, when organizations exclude groups of people, not don't include them, even if it's not intentional. If people are not being included in your events, your programs, your business, whatever it is that you do, it's really hard to come back from that. People don't generally, it's hard to break that wall back down and rebuild that trust in communities and for your business and for your job or whatever you do. So it's really important to do the work now and be successful at it, because they predict by 2020 or 2045 the Caucasian non-Hispanic population will no longer be the majority in the United States. So we're having a huge increase in diversity. And so I just think it's important that people understand this work is so important, not just because it's the right thing to do, but because it's going to impact everyone financially, personally in the future, very near future. And so I do have a free webinar coming up on June 27th at 6 p.m. You can go to my website to sign up for it, marlenegodsey.com. And it's a 30-minute free webinar, so I can kind of, like I like to say, give people a dip into the lake of how to start creating these relationships effectively. And my program is very, very practical. So I really want people to understand we can't help who our parents are, where we're born, or how we're raised. So no one should feel bad or embarrassed wanting to start to do this work. If you're 40 years old, 30, 40, 50 years old, the good thing is that you're there and you want to learn. So I invite everybody to go and sign up for this free webinar and see if you think it's a good fit, see if you learn something, and see how you feel after, dipping your toe into that pool of equity.
Amazing. I love that. So you can click on Marlene's website on this side. You can also connect with her on Facebook. Please give us the website again for those that are audio only.
Yes, marlenegodsey.com. And I'm on all the social medias as well. So you can also go to like Facebook. The name of my business is Unity in Diversity. So you can find me on social media. But yeah, marlenegodsey.com.
Amazing. And so this will be evergreen because so if someone discovers this, I don't know, 6 months, a year from now, this type of webinar, will there be a replay always on your site? Is this the type of thing that you do like once a month or once every couple months?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am recording the webinars and I will make them available to people. And I do plan on trying to host a once a month webinar. The goal is once a month, but that sometimes can be hard.
Yep.
So I do have a goal, but I will be recording them and they will be available on my website. So if you do miss this webinar, you can go and listen to the recording later on. And then I do hope to have once a month or bi-monthly webinars free so people could start to learn how it is possible to create relationships effectively with cultural organizations and communities.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your knowledge and your journey and your business with us. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much, Cassie, for having me on. It's always just wonderful to come on, especially to women-owned businesses, and be able to share, what I'm doing and just share with the world and get that outlet and really talk about it. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you all for listening. And make sure to come back and check out our next entrepreneur's story.